Right. Hey everyone, welcome to our live stream. I'm Mark, your host and founder of Take 2 Minutes, and I'm joined by my wonderful co-hosts Jamie and Heather, as well as Ashley as our moderator and question asker. I'm going to make up that word, asker. Jamie is a licensed counselor and the author of Master of Circumstance, which offers life-changing psychological techniques and practical tools to overcome victimhood and negative thinking. Heather is a registered dietitian nutritionist with over 20 years of experience specializing in illness prevention through an anti-inflammatory diet, emphasizing the powerful connection between nutrition and mental health. Today, we're excited to dive into your questions about Take 2 Minutes, mental health, mind, body, nutrition. Feel free to drop any questions you have about these categories into the chat and we'll do our best to answer them. Plus, we have a special offer for our live viewers. Stay tuned to see how you can get 20% off a Take 2 Minutes membership. Welcome again. Thank you for everyone for being here. Ashley, I'll hand it over to you.
Yep. So again, we collected some questions across multiple platforms. So for those of you who are curious on how you can send us your questions, stay tuned on Instagram. That's the main place that we collect questions. But we have a good variety again this week. So we'll start off with, this one is for you, Mark. What is your favorite Take 2 Minutes activity and why?
Well, that is a good question. I like a few of the Take 2 Minutes activities. I personally use some of the meditations. I really enjoy one of the voice talents we have. Her name is Marissa. I think she is just lovely in everything she does. She does a lot of she does all of the anxiety meditations. She also does a huge number of the daily meditations and a huge number of the on-demand meditations, as well as I think most of the sleeping exercises are her voice. She's just got a really loving, happy nature to her, and it comes out in her voice in those meditations. So while I like other activities, I want to touch on one more. I really enjoy the dream journaling also. And I think that's because I dream every night. Every morning I wake up remembering my dreams, and I find my dreams fascinating. And I mean, truly fascinating. I'm one of those people that even if it's a quote unquote nightmare, I still find it fascinating. And so I do use the dream journaling as well.
Awesome. Cool. Yeah, I personally like, and Jamie and Heather, feel free to jump into this as well. I really like the gratitude journaling. Take 2 Minutes has the ability now for images. So I like kind of recording those with my gratitude journals just as like a reminder of like kind of what happened that day. So I think that's a really fun one. Awesome.
Yeah, I give my whenever I sign up my clients or have my clients sign up for this, uh I like the three good things. That's a great just reminder, right? And the gratitude journaling, because it's all just about that really impacts mindset more than anything.
To
Yeah.
touch on that a little bit real quickly, I think to what Jamie said, the three good things in the gratitude journaling are more powerful exercises than what I liked. I mean, I like the meditations and I like the dream journaling, like I said, but really, gratitude journaling and three good things are two of the more powerful exercises we have to help someone get into a positive mindset.
This next question kind of leads into that one a bit. So someone asked, I just started gratitude journaling and I don't feel any different. How do I know if I'm doing it right?
So for a gratitude journal, it's going to take a minute, right? Because what we're doing is we're creating we're creating new patterns. Okay, so I always say give it 30 days. You're not going to know something overnight. It's not going to be 3 days. It's not going to be 5 days. It's one of those, just like going to the gym, right? So you go to the gym day one, you go lift weights, you come home and you look in the mirror. What's changed? Nothing. Second day, same way. Third day, same thing. But then there's a day. There's a day. What is it? 30, 35, 40. When for whatever reason you look in the mirror, you're like, oh, I see some stuff happening there, right? So gratitude journaling is the same way, right? We gotta retrain our brain to not focus on this, but focus on this, right? And that gratitude, it's called priming, right? So when you think about like the vehicle that you drive, right? So I have a white Ford pickup truck that's lifted. Before I got a white lifted Ford pickup truck, I didn't see many white lifted Ford pickup trucks out there. But then I bought the thing, and it's like, my gosh, they're everywhere. This is not unique. I am not special. There's nothing going on here, right? And it's the same thing, right? And so I'm primed now to see this white Ford pickup because I own one. So there's just an awareness that's created looking for that truck. And I don't even know it. It's not conscious. It's at a subconscious level. But I see it. It's everywhere. That's what gratitude journaling does.
So
Right?
go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, and another thing that I teach around gratitude journaling is I really focus on no repeats.
Ooh.
Because when you don't do repeats, you're going to run out of the surface stuff about day 8 to day 10. Now you're getting in the meat and potatoes. Now you're starting to make some change. And you should be moved emotionally when you're in real gratitude about the things that are important to you.
And Ashley,
Okay,
real
yeah, you
quick,
just
I'm sorry, you have a
go ahead.
comment. Go ahead.
I was going to say that answered my question because I was thinking to last week when you talked about family values and creating that value system. And so I was going to try to, transfer it into this, or like, what are some rules or frameworks or value systems in a sense that could be applied to this? So as people are going, new to gratitude, who are going through this and aren't feeling anything quite yet, can have some solace in knowing that they're still taking the right steps. They just need to be patient instead of changing what they do.
Absolutely. 100%.
And add on to
100%.
that, some of the focus groups we had done, I got feedback about this exact topic, Ashley. And one of the focus groups, individuals, and there was 20 of them or 22 of them, had to do gratitude journaling for 30 days and or a gratitude challenge. And the feedback I got by 8 to 10 people was that as they did the gratitude challenge, because they weren't experts in gratitude journaling, they didn't know anything about it. As they did the gratitude challenge, at about day 8, 9, or 10 is when they realized that priming had happened, and they started just recognizing gratitude around them as they started doing daily activities. And so it does take a while for that to kind of set in. And how long a while is, their example is 8 to 10 days. It could be 12, 14 days. But after a certain amount of time, as Jamie mentioned, the priming takes effect. And then you start recognizing things you're grateful for in your daily life.
Word.
Love it.
Cool. All right. Heather, this next question is for you. What vitamins and supplements have the biggest impact on mental health? I know that one's a bit broad, but curious to
It is
see
a bit
your
broad.
insights.
So high level, I would say, are you hearing me okay?
Mhm.
Yep.
Okay. High level, I would say vitamin D. So vitamin D is a hormone regulator, and I think that's going to be the most important. So first, and then a lot of physicians are on board with getting it tested. So it again starts with know your levels, right? So very few of us in the United States are going to have adequate vitamin D levels. I came from the Pacific Northwest, so all of you out in Washington and those areas, you're not getting it. You're too high up north on the grid, so you're not going to get the sun intensity needed for that sunshine vitamin. So I would say vitamin D for sure. And then a broad spectrum multivitamin would be great to cover the trace minerals. That includes trace minerals also. And just because, I first, of course, want you to try food. I want you to go for the rainbow, get the fiber. Mark and I, we can drive that home every time, but that's going to be the most important. And then, there's talk about our soil and the depletion of nutrients in it. So just really making sure you have a nice broad spectrum. One thing to look for on any of the supplements would be to look for a GMP stamp. And the GMP stamp means good manufacturing practices. And so they test for quality and potency.
That's good to know. I do have a question, I guess, thinking into my own personal life. And I don't know if this is like a scare tactic in the media or not, so you might have more insights into this. Are things even like if using Clorox wipes can disrupt your hormones or things like that? How much do you know about that? And like, how can we, people who maybe are really busy and don't have the time to like make that themselves, like DIY Clorox wipes, for example, how can they combat that? And I guess rest easy around kind of everything being hormone unbalanced.
Well, right. Well, and that speaks to all the things we're using, that if there's chemicals and we don't even, first of all, bleach, right? But there's a lot of plastics that we use, like plastics are endocrine disruptors. And so with vitamin D being a hormone regulator, that's helping your endocrine system. So you want to make sure that just trying to limit, you know what I mean? Because we can get all worked up, and then before you know it, you're like, forget it. Here's an offender, they're everywhere. And so people give up. And so I would say start with, you don't have to make your own wipes. Try to use I use like all natural bars of soap. Those don't have additives and chemicals and things in them. So I would say pay the extra dollars to get the sea salt soap bar or things like that. Use the shampoo bar for your hair. So in other areas, if you're going to end up using Clorox wipes, it's the cheapest thing you got, or it's the most handy and convenient, then look in the other areas. Look in your shower. Are the containers bamboo or sugarcane, or are they plastic? And those plastics, it adds up. And one of the things for self-care products, I recommend looking for EDTA and of course parabens and things. Those are all endocrine disruptors apparently also. And we put those on our skin because they're in lotions and soaps and things. So those are the things that we need to think about, are things that we're applying to our skin, and that being our biggest organ, folks, that's getting into our body. So I would say try to focus on that. And of course, go back to what you're eating. Stick to the basics, eat the rainbow every day, and keep going back to that. Make it a routine. Like you said, it takes 21 days to form a habit?
Yes.
Yeah, I was going to ask, I guess, just to kind of summarize it a little bit for people who, again, I know like when I start something, I get really invested in it and then I get overwhelmed of where to start. So thinking just like top three, obviously that's not going to cure everything, but if we're thinking about like the top three biggest offenders or the top three things we can do to start, what would your recommendation be in terms of putting on your body or in your body?
Oh, okay. So I like to encourage individuals or families to do a little like kind of a not so treasure hunt around your house. Take inventory, and that way you'll know, okay, I'm drinking out of plastic bottles. I'm using shampoo and lotions that are in plastic bottles. Try to identify plastics, basically. There's a lot of things leaching out of them. Look for those that are made of bamboo or sugarcane. I know Public Goods is one example. They have a whole line of self-care products and things that are made, the containers are used from bamboo and sugarcane. And then Bite, B-I-T-E, because it's the earth. I don't endorse, I just, these are things coming to my head, so.
Hashtag not mad.
Yeah. They use glass and and reusable, not reusable, but bags for refills and things. So there's just a conscious level. So start with plastics. For canned goods, as far as eating, I would look for EDTA in your canned goods and make sure that it's not in there. If EDTA is in your canned goods, it's declared safe in small amounts by the FDA. However, it's in our soaps, it's in our lotions, it's in our lotions and potions, and it's in our food, unfortunately. And then another thing to look for is if you're using or consuming oils, any of those, that most of them at the store have been filtered with something called hexane. And it's a solvent. It really wasn't meant for food. It was okay in small amounts again, but we're consuming a lot, and they're mostly in plastic bottles as well. So I would look for things like Spectrum expeller pressed oils and do that. So those two things, three. So plastics, EDTA, and no hexane.
Good to know.
Good answer.
Thank you.
So I guess
Don't
in
tell
that
me. Right.
in that same trying to manage mental health and you know not knowing where it's coming from in terms of putting on your body or putting in your body. I think this next question kind of ties into that and I think this could be more geared toward Jamie, but I want to hear everyone's thoughts. So someone asked, what are some not so obvious signs that my mental health is getting worse and what can I do about it?
That's a pretty broad question because mental health getting worse is subjective,
Mm.
right? So, I'm not trying to cop out of the answering the question, but I don't know what that question means, right? Mental health getting worse, like what am I not finding the activities I used to find enjoyable? Am I not finding those enjoyable? Am I not going outside? Like, are we talking depression? Are we talking anxiety? Are we talking manic depressive? Are we talking, I'm hearing voices in my head? Like, how do I know I'm getting worse? What's the quality of your life? Because really, at the end of the day, that's what it all comes down to, right? Like, am I enjoying my life? Do I feel confident necessarily in how my life is going? Are my expectations realistic? Are they not realistic? Are my relationships fulfilling or not fulfilling? Right. So I think that's how you got to really take a look at it is you got to have a baseline. So what's my normal? And normal is subjective, right? Normal is
Mhm.
different for everybody,
Mhm.
right? So I think if we can figure out what your normal is, and then from there, that becomes your measuring stick. I like that a lot. Or am I not doing things that I want to do? And then okay, well, why not? Right. So quality of life has to be measured, but it has to be measured from something. It can't just say, well, how am I doing today? I don't know compared to what. Right. I heard a guy say this. I really like this. Like hard is subjective. What's hard for me may not be hard for you, and vice versa. Like, I play ice hockey. So is ice hockey skating hard? Well, to me, no, it's not. It's easy, right? Like it's second nature. I could just like swimming. Is swimming hard? Well, no, it's pretty easy. But there are other people that, man, I can't ice skate for nothing. I'm afraid of it. Or I'm not jumping in that pool. I'm afraid to drown, right? So
Yeah.
hard is subjective. Mental health is necessarily subjective, right? So you have to trust yourself and trust those that are closest to you to say, hey, something's off here. What's going on with you?
Yeah. And I know we're wrapping up on time here. So I guess for next week, I guess maybe this will be a sneak peek because I have a follow-up question on something, or I want to touch on something you said about like, is this normal for me? And so I want to ask a question, and I guess I'll refine it for next week about a lot of people's normal maybe isn't healthy. So I want to dive in a little bit into when is my normal okay and healthy, and how do I know if it's healthy or like normal versus fulfilling? So I want to think on
Yeah.
how to phrase that, but I think that's an interesting topic that would be fun to talk about for next week.
I mean, we got a little bit. I have a lot to say about that, and that could probably just help your question even,
Yeah.
right? So again, if we define normal, all normal is what you're used to.
Mhm.
That's it, right? So one thing that I practice in my practice with everybody is I don't like to talk about good or bad or even right and wrong, okay? Because those are judgment words outside of morality, right? We can all agree like morality is like there's a morality that we all kind of ascribe to, right? But outside of that, good, bad, right, or wrong, those are judgments. So how I look at it is working, not working. So does that work for you or does that not work for you? And if we're looking at how is my normal impacting, is it okay? Well, is it working for you in your life? Are you having the relationships you want? Are you having the success that you want? Are you able to really get to where you want to go? Right? That's how you can start looking at, is this working for me or not? It's not good or bad. It's not right or wrong. And is it normal? I don't even know what normal is because everybody's normal is different.
Mhm.
Marc Me and Mark are very different, but we have some things. So his life is normal to him, and my life is normal to me, and that's okay. That's just how we operate, you know. So I think trying to compare yourself to whatever a normal is, boy, in my book I talk about that a lot. I talk about right, wrong, and I talk about expectations, right? So expectations is like, where did those expectations come from? Are they yours? Are they society's? Are they your parents? Are they your spouses? Well, do they work for you? Because if they don't work for you, then why are you trying to meet those expectations?
Wow.
There's going to be a lot of
Expectations.
questions to add for next week.
Yes. Yeah, a lot about expectations. I think is we talked about that a little bit before. I think you and I have, at least, Jamie, and I've said many times, as long as you're doing your best, don't let others' expectations weigh you down.
That's right.
That's right.
Yeah.
I heard a quote just yesterday, and it was something along the lines of, the best weight you will ever lose is the weight of others' expectations.
Oh,
Ooh, that's so
yeah.
good.
There's two of them that come to mind. John Maxwell says, other people's opinions of you are none of your business. So I love that.
Amen.
It's like, yeah,
Yes.
right.
Yes.
Who cares what anyone says, right? And then Einstein said, if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it'll always think it's worthless.
That's good. That's good.
So good. So good.
I mean, that's powerful when you really think about that.
Yep.
I'm a therapist. I'm not a physicist. But if you judge me on physicist stuff, I'm garbage. Like, I'm not even close. Right. Right?
Exactly.
If you judge me based on what Marc does as a coder, forget about it. I can't. I'm out. I'm out on that. Not good. Right. So, yeah,
Very
man, there's
good.
a lot to be said about expectations.
Yeah.
Ashley, we have anything else, or is it time?
Yeah. Last question for you, and I know we touched on the response a little bit earlier, but it might be a good way to wrap this up. How long until I see results or progress from Take 2 Minutes? Just
So
average.
again, going back to our case studies we've done, it does seem like people can see definitive results in about 30 days. And it could be sooner than that. It could be a little more than that. But we have shown through the case studies that, again, going back to what Jamie said, gratitude journaling and 3 good things being the key activities that we use in the case studies. If someone starts starts a gratitude journaling exercise, whether it be in Take 2 Minutes or outside Take 2 Minutes, if you stick with it for 30 days, somewhere around the 15th day of your gratitude journaling, you pick up and start a 3 good things exercise. And the big differences in those two I want to touch on is gratitude journaling, in my mind, and through our tests, is better done in the early day. So you're going to wake up, think of some gratitude statements or things you're grateful for to start your day. And then at the end of the day, you do your 3 good things activity. And the reason why you do it at the end of the day is because you're supposed to reflect on the day and find 3 good things that happened in that day for you. So that's basically starting your day with positivity or gratitude and ending your day with positivity or gratitude. Those 2 things combined, 95% of all participants found about a 200% increase in positivity based upon the MDES questionnaire in about 30 to 35 days.
So would you
So
say
then
that's a good... Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm probably going to say the same thing you're going to say, Ashley. Do you think it's a good thing to take that questionnaire when you first sign up for Take 2 Minutes?
I do, yeah.
So you have something to quantify?
Yep, that's your baseline. You take the MDES questionnaire, which is the Modified Differential Emotion Scale questionnaire. You can text the word happy test or text MDES questionnaire, either one, to the chat bot. It'll send you a link for the questionnaire. Your data is private, so when you take the questionnaire, it's saved in your journal. No one else can see it, but that gives you a baseline. And the answer it gives you is a score. The score is usually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 are up. 1 means you are equal amounts negative and positive. That's the basis. It's not going to go below that for purposes of scoring. Some people actually are more negative than positive, and their scores in the back end will reflect that, but the system is only going to show you 1 to 1. So 2 to 1 means you're 2 parts positive to 1 part negative, and 3 to 1 is 3 to 1 negative. The majority of America, by my understanding, is a 1 to 1 to 2 to 1 ratio. You start getting into 3 to 1 to 4 to 1. Those are people who are well-balanced, able to adapt, take on challenges. 6 to 1, 7 to 1 are people who are just really, really happy. Now, you come a point. I don't know exactly that point. I'm not a psychologist, but in talking to a psychologist, I learned that there becomes a point around 9 to 1 or 10 to 1 where there's concerns if someone's actually manic. So there's a sweet spot, right? You want to be in that. The sweet spot's really the 4 to 1, 5 to 1, 6 to 1 range. That's when you really should be a well adapted individual.
Cool. That's good to know. I think after this, I'm probably going to take it and see how we do.
Yeah, it's a fun
For
test.
anyone watching, yeah, take it. And if you feel so inclined, comment what your score was so we can all kind of go through this together.
Yeah, and the goal is when you're answering the 20 questions, think back in the last week. It's not necessarily today how you feel, because you could feel much better or much worse today than you did yesterday. So try to think back and answer every question for the past week, and that'll give you a good baseline of what your score is going to be. And I'm currently working on this system so that the responses you get based on your score are more helpful, and it makes recommendations of which tools you should be using based upon the score you have. So that's going to be live in the next week or so as well.
I have a last follow-up question for that, and then we can conclude. But because I like to take those like personality tests, and I make all my friends take them too, and I'm so sorry. But when I'm thinking about the questions, and I've talked to them about this too, some of their brains go directly to how they act at work, and some go to how they act outside of work. So when they're taking this test, what do you recommend, I guess, in terms of how they should respond, or does it matter? Like, respond how you want.
Jamie might have an answer. I saw a hand up there.
Yeah. So first off, you should not be fragmented in who you are as a human being. So you really need to work on integrating work you and home you. Okay. Once you integrate those, because what happens a lot of times is we have this persona at work, and this is the professional, and I get this thing, and all that. But then at home, we like to let our hair down.
Yeah.
So what that really translates to is your family gets your leftovers, not your best. And that's no good. So we need to flip that around. If anything, we need to flip it around and say, okay, well, my family's going to get my best, and everybody else is going to get the leftovers. But what if you just had one you, that you were standard across the board? It removes anxiety, because you don't have to have this like, okay, where am I at? Who am I around? How am I supposed to act here? Because then you're just a chameleon, and it's not really being authentic. I know that doesn't answer your question, but
I think
that's
it does.
the goal.
No, I think it does. There's one you, and the one you can have ebbs and flows. The one you can be frustrated, sad, happy, whatever, but don't differentiate that one you between your environments, between work and family. It should be the same one you wherever you're at.
Yeah, that's right.
I love that.
Good.
That's right.
All right. Well, that's all the time we have. Thank you for sending your questions and joining us. I hope you found the discussion helpful and find it you provide practical tips and valuable information for you to improve your mental health and well-being. We are going to repeat this podcast next Wednesday. This is a live stream. We're going to repeat this live stream next Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hopefully you can join us, mark your calendars, and we look forward to seeing you. If you want to take advantage, 20% off, take 2 minutes. The membership code is podcast. Use that membership code for our promo code for 20% off.